As much as we like the idea of moving forward in business and not looking back and keeping focused on the future, there is a time and a place to remember what you've accomplished, what you've done, successes and failures, so that you can make better decisions going forward. So it's very important to take that time to remember, the time to reflect. And today we're going to explore some insights as to why that is necessary, why it's worth your while to take that time to reflect, look back when it's necessary, and make adjustments for the future. So, with that, I want to welcome you to today's Momentum Monday, and for some, it's Turbo Tuesday. But nonetheless, it's still viable whenever you watch it, whenever you get this. And so, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Emily McHugh, the Supercharged coach. I am the Supercharged Club, founder of the Supercharged Club, and you can check it out for multi-passionate. What is wrong with me? So tongue-tied today. Multi-passionate, creative entrepreneurs. And I'm also an author of The Little Girl's Guide to Entrepreneurship, and I have a new book coming out, so stay tuned for that. Just stay tuned. It is on the horizon. But in the meantime, I want to welcome you to Supercharged with Emily, and stay tuned for How to Reflect. So today's episode is all about taking the time to remember, and we recently are celebrating Memorial Day in the US, where people remember veterans and people who have died during various wars. But along with this process, it got me thinking about a lot of other things. And as many of you know, my dad has written a book called The Forgotten Reapers of World War II, and it's about Jamaicans who participated in the war effort here in the United States. And his whole book is about that, and I talk about it a lot. Here's the book right here, even though it's backwards. And when I'm in the process now of rereading his book, I read it when it first came out, loved the story and everything, and then I reread it for editing purposes, and now I'm rereading it again just for like enjoyment and to fully comprehend all that he put in there. And what has struck me is if he did not take the time to write this almost 80 years ago, all of this information would be lost. All of these insights would have been gone. Nothing would have remained because at 103 years old, which he is now, his memory is not the same as it was when he was 23 or 24. Had he not written these things down, there would have been no recollection. He would not be able to tell us about it now, and it would just be nebulous. So what does that mean for you? It means that you should take the time to remember the highlights, the key points of your business. There's some people who are not so much into journal writing, they're not so much into this record keeping, but there are different ways to do this. Even in your diaries or in your date books or even on your phone calendars, if you use Google or Apple Calendar, whatever you like to use, when you write down dates of events, you can take the time to kind of register a little bit what was the highlight, what happened. And one of the things that I like to do, I have what I call an evidence journal, and it's more so more on a spiritual basis when I have certain prayers and I pray to God for specific things and he answers these prayers. I write it down as evidence of what God has done. And in business, I encourage you to do the same. Sometimes it can be for a business event, sometimes it's just a life situation, but whatever it is, write it down. So I want to just give you a few things to think about. This is not a lecture series here tonight. This is not a workshop. This is just something for you to think about, just for you to take the time to reflect and calmly meditate upon some of the points that I'm sharing in the hopes that it will give you some ideas and spark your creativity in certain areas of your business. So one of the first things, we tend to ruminate on things that go wrong. We think about mistakes, we think about errors that we've made, mistakes we've made in the past, and just keep on beating up ourselves for that thing over and over and over and over and over again. Like, how could I do that? How could I be so silly? How could I make that mistake? But instead of doing that, We want to retrain our brains to say, okay, if that thought comes up where it enters your mind, how could I have made that decision? Think about, what is the number one lesson that taught me, that going forward I will be so aware and so alert to not make that same mistake. That's what I want you to do. And then be open for opportunities that you can share that lesson with someone, or you may need to apply it to your own self. One of those key lessons is pride. And I recently did a video on Instagram. I want you to make sure you check out the Instagram with Joy Rowland that I did just this a week ago. We did two. We did a part one and a part two about how to be successful in business. And I mentioned that your business identity and your personal identity are not the same. So if you have a business failure, that does not mean you're a failure as a person. So instead of beating up yourself thinking, oh, I failed, no, you didn't fail. The concept failed, but you as a person did not fail. There's a big distinction. So I want you to think about that and remember this point, because it's really quite critical. The second thing I want you to consider is, in this idea of a time to remember, is that you want to remember how far you've come, where you've come from. Like when you first started and now you've made progress to a certain place, or you just started in your business, or you're thinking about you starting and you actually have. So, or you haven't yet, but you're making plans to. So wherever you are on the spectrum of things, remember the progress you have made. That is so essential to do, because if we don't take the time to stop and appreciate the progress made, we can never feel like we're accomplishing anything, because there's always more and more and more to do. So remember how far you've come. So first of all, remember from the lessons of the past. Okay. Secondly, think of how far you've come. And finally, what I'd like you to remember is that you are on a journey. You're on a life journey, whether you capture it in a book, whether you capture it in a journal, whether you capture it on your phone, however you choose to record your time on this earth, whether it's through a lot of photos or videos or vlogs or whatever the case may be. The point is to capture the moments so that they do not get lost, that somewhere you can find them, somewhere you can glean a positive lesson from it that will not only enlighten your continued journey, but will help to enlighten somebody else on theirs. And that kind of goes back to what I was sharing earlier about my dad's book. It's that it's such an enlightening historical book. And it's not just because it's my dad's book while I'm going on and on about it. It's not, because if it wasn't a good book, I'd be like, you got to write it again. No, but it absolutely is jam-packed with historical insights that you will not find normally anywhere else, because people haven't captured it, or they haven't shared it, or they haven't taken the time to put it into a format where people can actually learn and read and observe and so forth. So that's what I want to share with you. And I also want to let you know that on June 9th, coming up really soon, my dad is having a book signing event in Broward County. They're having a Caribbean Heritage Month happening in June. The month of June is Caribbean American Heritage Month. And so my dad being a Jamaican, they're highlighting his book and his journey. And so that's going to be taking place on June 9th. You're going to hear more about that as well. I don't know why I don't have the slide for it, but whatever, that's fine. But I am going to leave you with a special slide tonight. Yes, it's a little preview of a video highlighting some things from my dad's book that I think, in celebration of Memorial Day week, that this would be very fitting to write your story. I encourage people to write their stories. Don't let other people tell your stories. Yeah, don't let other people tell your stories, because other people will try to tell your story if you don't tell your own. Oh, that needs some kind of something. Let me repeat that again. Other people will try to tell your story if you don't tell your own. That's actually today's mindset concept. We're not even, I just want that to sink in. You don't need any more mindset minute than that. If you don't tell your own story, someone else will tell it for you. And chances are they will not tell it the way you want it to be told. They will not include the nuances, all the insights, all the things that only you can bring because it's a unique story that you have. And that's one of the things that my dad did in his book. A lot of people assume because he came to the US during the 40s and all the things that were going on at the time that he had a very specific type of experience. He had a very different experience. It was a unique experience to him. That's why you got to read the book. Make sure you do. Make sure you pick it up. That's right. Go on Amazon. And by the way, if Amazon tells you it's sold out because it's been so popular, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and put your order in and you will get your book shortly. So do not be scared off by when it says temporarily out of stock. It's only because it's popular. Go and order anyway. That's right. That's what you need to do. Now, give me a second. Let me show this to you. I'm going to show you something that now I need to find and show you. Okay. All right, I think it's right here. This is a preview. This is a preview of something we're going to include for his book presentation, but I want you to be the first to see it right here today. Are you ready? Okay, here it is. Okay, guys. All right, I hope you enjoyed that little preview. Yes, yes, yes. So take the time to remember this week. Let me know what's coming to mind that's really important to you. It would be great to hear your feedback and your thoughts. And I'll see you next time right here, same time, same bat channel. Have a great week.